Click webinar. Today's topic is CAC and returns, myth, mistakes, and frequently asked questions. Before we get into it, let me say something important because this is important context for everything that we're about to discuss, right? One thing I have observed and I've noticed that for some time is the fact that even big companies that they already have industry specific compliance obligations, right? Companies that take those obligations very seriously, very keenly, they are always on it. They won't be found wanting when it comes to those industry specific compliances. But then the simple things, the foundational things, these are the things that get abandoned. I don't know why, I don't know how come, but it happens. And seasonal returns is one of those things. Because here is one thing that makes it unique is the fact that it is not a compliance obligation that applies to one sector, right? It's not like something that will say, okay, only banks would deal with, or only telecoms would deal with, or only fintechs, or any other industry. This is one compliance that applies to every registered entity, every single one. You remember, note that I said entity in the sense that entity in the sense that. So just a second. So remember, just notice what I said, entity in the sense that, but be it your business name, be it your limited liability and incorporated trustee, or any any of the categories, it's not only limited to only business. So whether you're small, medium, or large, or you're an NGO or any category, the obligation is the same. This works the same with taxes as well. Yes, some businesses may be exempted from paying certain taxes, right? But filing is but filing is compulsory. See, somebody is unmuted. Please could we mute? Thank you. But filing is compulsory for individuals or businesses across board. Now that's for taxes now. So the same thing applies when it comes to CAC returns. It works in the same way. It's all round. So what I see happening is that businesses spend so much money, so much time, so much energy. This could we mute? Mhm. I'm so sorry. Just trying to get. All right. So as I was saying, so as I was saying that the annual returns, gets across. It's one compliance that applies to every business, every registered entity. Note that I'm not mentioning the word registered business because annual returns is not. Just I think they were going to demystify why we're here. So what I see is that business spend so much money, so much time, so much energy. So I'm so sorry. I just want to try to get this person to mute. Just a second, please. And I'm so sorry for the interruption. Um, all right, so as I've already explained before that one of the things, I'll just get back to my thoughts, that big business, big companies, they focus so much energy, so much of their money on the bigger things, which they're okay. It's okay to focus on the industry specific compliances, but simple thing as CAC gets abandoned, and you see them spending so much, and these obligations are really serious, no doubt. But the very thing that is the foundation of why the business even exists in the first place, that is the one that gets left behind. That's the one that you just I mean, I'm always shocked when I see that this big company, they are not, their HANA returns is not up to date, and one is surprised. But you check every other thing, they've ticked all the boxes everywhere else, but this one, it's totally out of it. So space registration, HANA returns, that's the foundation. That is what says legally you can exist either as a business, you can exist as is that as a business name, a limited liability. That's what gives you existence in the first place. And so that's why we're here today, to just explain that, this simple process of what is really HANA returns, what is really all about. Now, simple things doesn't usually mean that they are unimportant, and I don't want anyone living here today still abandoning the HANA returns, whichever way. Take it as one of the first things you should prioritize, even as much as you do your industry specific. We'll definitely talk about in subsequent webinars specific industry specific compliances as relate to your business or to the entity. All right, so we're going to walk through this together. We'll understand what it is, what's at stake, and what you need to do. All right. And I want to ask questions from the audience. But before today, do you fully understand what CSNR returns are? If you really understand it, I would like to hear from us. Just in 30 seconds, anybody that wants to unmute. Have you ever heard about HANA returns? Do you fully understand it? If you have a business, have you ever filed before? Let's see. Okay. Is there anybody that wants to say, have you ever heard of HANA returns before? I'll just move on so that we don't waste much of our time.
Okay. Hello, can I speak about it?
So what's okay, that's fine.
Yes. So annual returns, their annual returns can be there are things that we have to pay statutorily to national bodies. So there is the annual tax returns and there's the CAC annual returns, and so that is binding on any registered entity, whatever they are, whether they are a business name, limited liability company, incorporated trustees, that's the main.
Okay, I think we lost them. Does anyone wants to say something so that I can mute you? Annual returns, have you ever heard it before? Okay. Okay, no one else. All right, so I'll just continue. So what has CSNR returns, right? CSNR returns is a yearly statutory filing that every registered entity in Nigeria must make to the Corporate Affairs Commission, the CAC. It's basically you're saying to the government, we're still here. This is an update on how we have run our entity. Now, I'm trying not to place emphasis on businesses because CSNR returns is not only about businesses. So we're just trying to tell the government that this is me, we're still here. That's just the same thing that happens when it comes to, we're in the season of filing of your income tax and all of that, and people are saying that no, I'm not earning anything. Why are they making me to file income tax and all of that? And that's the same thing that applies CAC and return, but we'll come there. So you're just trying to give the government that I'm still here, still here, and even if you're going to be filing new or if you've not carried out any operation, you're just here. So now here's the first thing I want you to lock in your mind today is the fact that CSNI returns is not your tax returns. These are completely different things, different regulators, different deadlines, different consequences. We'll come back to that distinction, but I want us to, clearly have that in our minds, because I've seen a situation where clients will tell you that, I know me, I'm paying my taxes, which one is NI returns again? Which one is CSNI returns again? We've seen situations where you tell clients about CSNI returns, they will say, no, I filed my taxes. So we see a lot of mix up when it comes to the two, but to know that they are not the same. So CSNI returns is also not a profit and loss statement. It's not a report of how much your business how do I put it? It's not a profit, because what you're tendering at the end of the day, of course, you have to, when it comes to limited liability, you have to show your income. Now, the annual turnover that you fill in during your annual returns filing is not the profit, it's just the annual turnover. That's the total revenue that came into the business. It's not how much you can say, this is how much we made. It's not a profit and loss. So it's something, so it's clear that, of course, I also stated in my slides, sorry, I was unable to share the slides, but we'll share it after this webinar, that is definitely backed by Companies and Allied Matters Act, some certain provisions that provide for annual returns filings, for companies, for business names, for incorporated trustees. They're all in the sections in CAMA. So it's not something that somebody just invented. It is statutory and a legal obligation. Now, then move on to the next slide. Who must file? Now this is where people make assumptions that it is only businesses. As long as you're making money, these are people that should file returns. Like, what is with me that I'm just an NGO, I'm a foundation, I'm helping people. Now, every registered entity in Nigeria must file CAC returns. That's the way it works. So, limited liability companies, business names, yes, even if it's just one person business, you're expected to file. Incorporated trustees. Now, you've heard of NGOs, you've heard of ministry, you've heard of associations, you've heard of clubs, but the name they call it under the CAC is called incorporated trustees. Limited liability partnership. These are new limited liability partnerships and limited partnerships are new type of registrations that came out after CAMA 2020 came out. So even foreign companies registered in Nigeria, yes, you are expected to file annual returns. So I have a question for the audience. I just want one person to please answer. What type of entity do you run? Is it limited liability, business name, or incorporated trustee? Let's hear from our audience. Anyone that wants to speak. Okay. All right, Patricia. Patricia, we're listening to you. Okay, can anyone hear Patricia? She wants to say something. Okay.
Hello?
Okay, we can hear you now, Patricia.
Okay, yes. I said good afternoon, everyone. I run a business name.
You run a business name. Okay,
Yes,
what are you into, please?
I'm into professional training and coaching, but for marketing purposes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Patricia runs a business name. So you see that there are different categories of. I'm sure some of us here run a limited liability. Some of us might probably have started an NGO trying to help the community. Now, so I'm gonna now go to where we have different things, that different excuses or different reasons why people I should not use the word excuses, reasons why people believe that they should not file their returns. I haven't started operations yet. Now, if you've not started operations yet, I mean, you can have your business registered because you really want to secure your name. You just you don't want someone else to use the name, but you're not really ready to operate it. It's fine, but the you are still obligated. You have obligation to file your annual returns. The interesting thing is that annual returns is different from tax returns, as we said earlier. But one other difference is the fact that since annual returns is fixed, whether you make a business as a business, whether you make 1 million, you make 5 million, your annual returns is fixed, and that makes it interesting. That's why it's always painful when businesses come and they've accumulated their annual returns for like years, and so we have to calculate the statutory fee plus the default fee, and of course professional fees of those that will file for you for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So if you have not started operations, it's still required. The law does not ask whether you have started operating. You're just expected to file. Now, if you have not started operating, you can file zero returns. You can say zero in your annual turnover because you've not made anything. It's okay, but it's helpful. It makes you compliant. Another thing is the fact that you see the same category of, oh, I'm not really active. You see the same thing. So there are no exceptions for small businesses, as we said. There are no exceptions for dormant company. Obligation is universal. So now let's talk about deadlines. Deadlines, right? So for Miss Patricia as a business name now, you're expected to file your annual returns. So for example, I'll use the current year now. While in 2026, every business name, anyone registered as a business name, let me quickly explain business name and limited liability so that we are clear. Business name is a type of registration that makes you to trade under the name. That meaning that you just trading under the name, but you and your business are no different. There's no you are your business. Your business is you. Meaning that I hate to use that word, but meaning that if they want to sue somebody who has a business name, they are suing that person. There's no difference, right? Or any tax obligation that you have as a business name, you're having it as that person. It's not different, right? So I just need to clarify. The limited liability, of course, has a legal personality. It's totally different from the directors, except situations where you always see directors be liable for certain things has to do with extreme situations of fraud, but the limited liability itself stands on its own as a person, and so tax obligations, the company pays it. Everything is different from the directors. So I just need to clarify that. So deadlines for limited liability companies. If you're a new company, you have 18 months free time. So after 18 months, you can start filing your annual returns. So you're not expected to file, even if you go to the portal now and you registered last year December, the portal will tell you that no, it's not yet 18 months. You're not yet allowed to file annual returns, right? Then if you're already existing, you're expected to file 14 days after your annual general meeting or by the anniversary of your incorporation. So that's for existing companies. For business names, I was trying to use Miss Patricia as an example before. That for her now, for 2025, she's supposed to file her 2025 annual returns on or before June of this year. So you said that you're filing for the preceding year in the new year. So by the time you want to file for 2026 annual returns, like you have to file it by next year between January and December, right? That's what saves you from having to pay default fee. So anyone that files by July 1, 2026 will pay extra, and it's not really worth it. It can always be avoided, right? For incorporated trustees is always between June and December for incorporated trustees. And I explained earlier, incorporated trustees are the NGOs, the foundations, the ministry, association, clubs, and all of that. Now, so missing this deadline just gives you your half penalty ticking immediately. I said July 1. I mean, there's a situation of someone that I had to file for more like a deadline. Person we filed the annual returns on June 30th, right? But because it was so close, by the time CAC was going to, maybe he didn't get to CAC side early enough. By the time they were going to see it, they were already seeing it July 1. And then they asked the client, to pay default fee. Though we tried to write that this is our payments, I'm not sure what their response was if we eventually paid, but it just happened. That's how it is immediate. Like July 1, their system just gives you the default fee immediately. So it's important that you stay compliant. So what happens if you don't file? That's not our next slide. What happens if you don't file? As I've already said firstly that penalty fees accumulate. Every year you don't file, a late penalty fee is added on top of the statutory fee. And then you've seen people, some people have been in existence for years, and you see them having to pay annual returns for 30 years just because they don't want to. I mean, that's if you're even lucky to the point we'll still come to. They are still existing. And you see them, you start calculating annual returns for like 20 years times statutory and default times 20 times 15 and all of that. So you keep accumulating that. The second is that your status on the CAC portal goes inactive. I don't know if some of us have seen it, but you will see that sometimes your status can go inactive, right? Sorry, your status on the CAC portal can go inactive. Banks use this, partners check it, investors. I've seen people that just because of inactive, they've lost visa application. So it's not really a small thing, right? It affects your credibility in ways that you may not even realize. So it's important that you just don't joke with it. The first thing they will just check the public search. Public search, as not said public search, is going to show active companies or inactive companies. So before they even have the chance to explain yourself, they've already ruled you out based on that. Does that, and of course, the inactive on CAC status does not mean that you're not active in your business or that you're not doing well. You don't want to even be in that situation. Then another reason if you don't file is that you cannot progress, you cannot process any post-incorporation changes. Yes, you want to add a director, you want to change your registered address, you want to amend your object. You cannot do any of those things until your annual returns are up to date. You want to change your shareholders, CAC will not process it. It will even query it and tell you that pay your annual returns. Even this as early as February or January, there was the client that wanted to file something for it, I think change of shareholder or something. They just queried and said that I thought that it was because it was still early, we had time to still file 225 annual returns, but they queried it that file 225 annual returns before the changes could be made. Another reason, or what happens if you don't file, what the consequences is that you are at a risk of being deregistered. Now, what the CAMA provides is that a business that have not filed their annual returns in 10 consecutive years, are at the risk of being deregistered. So that's why if you go back to the foundation when I started, and what did I say? I said that the old energy and the time and the money spent on specific industry regulations, right? It's okay to do that, but the foundation of why you even exist. Now, if you are deregistered, automatically you lose all those licenses, you lose all the things you've spent money on. So it's better that none suffers. The very reason why you exist in the first place, if you lose your registration, if you have NAFDAC license, it is lost automatically because you're not even existing, right? So there's really no point having to. So let's really quickly create a scenario. I'm trying to give room for us if you have questions so that you can take questions as well. So I want to give a scenario. I'm going to use Lam T Enterprise. So Lam T was registered in March 2026. The owner never filed a single annual return. It's registered as a business name. Then in March 2026, she finally decides that it is time to sort it out. Here's what she finds out. The year of registration, 2006, of course, she won't file in that year. Now she needs to file from 2027 to file to 2020. Sorry. Now, the year of exemption, registration is exempted. Then, so what she needs to file is from 2027 to 2025. So let's calculate it. Including 2025 is about 19 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, just about last year, August, the CAC business name annual returns used to be 3,000 naira. About 3,2. I always usually had it on there because of remitter fees, but it was increased to 5,000 naira. Default fee still remains 5,000. Default fee still remains 5,000 naira, right? Now, if she has to file if she had filed every year on time at 5,000 per year, her total would have been how much? I didn't just to calculate it. 19 times 5,000. And so filing late now, that means she has to file 10,000 from 2027 up to 2024, which is 18 years. So because we're still in March, not yet up to June, she will not file default fee for 2025. She will do 5,000 naira. So that's about 10,000 times 18. That's 180,000 plus 5,000. That's 185. She would have paid half of that basically. So she paid times 2 of the amount. So this is just to tell us that that amount that she paid extra could have been completely avoided. The penalties, it was not necessary. So that is just business name. Limited liabilities and the computer trustee have their own respective fees. The default fees are usually higher. The computer trustee default fees even about 10K, but the statutory fee is 5,000 naira. For limited liabilities, if your company is a big company, depending on the company size, but it's usually between 5,000 and usually between 10,000 and 15,000 for limited liability. So in all that everyone's still saying, we have not mentioned a whole lot of money. So it's just stay compliant. We're not even say I'm not asking you for a lot of money per year. It's something that you can put in your budget. So what I'm trying to say here is file on time every year. It is cheaper to stay current than to start catching up. And there's always the painful one is when you're under pressure, when you're trying to quickly get a contract done, trying to get an investor, trying to sort something out, and it's just like nobody seems to be listening, or because the time is even short. You have to sort out many years in a short period of time. Approval, it all depends on CAC. Sometimes they may be very fast in minutes, sometimes it can take days. And if you're working with deadlines, that's already lost. So I just want to give I want to give differences between CAC returns and tax returns briefly. All right, so I said before, CAC returns is filed with the CAC, is required of every registered entity. It covers your annual turnover, net assets, and ownership status. No tax calculation involved. Penalty for default, deregistration, you're going to be deregistered. Annual tax returns is filed with the NRS, is no longer Federal Inland Revenue Service or your state revenue service. If you're an individual, as it is now, if you're an individual, you're expected to file your annual income tax returns to your state revenue service. But if you're a company, you're going to file with the NRS. It's required of every entity and every individual, including employees. It covers your income and your tax liability. There are penalties for default, fines, and in some cases, imprisonment. So you need to do both. They are not entirely separate. They are entirely different. But don't one if really one does not fulfill the other, they run on different timelines. They go to different authorities and they carry different consequences. I'll say that again. You need to do both. They are entirely separate obligations. Filing one does not fulfill the other. They run on different timelines, go to different authorities, and carry different consequences. So the final, let's just quickly run the myth. I think I mentioned everything already. Final annual returns updates. Now let's talk about the myth. Let's do a quick myth busting round. No, we don't have the time now. I just said I should say the myth and I'll hear your yes or no. But let me just go into it straight up. Myth one, final annual returns updates my directors or trustee information. No, it doesn't. Directors or trustee changes require entirely separate filings. It's not automatic that because you file your annual returns and because you fill some details, because you fill in your details when you're filing your annual returns, it doesn't update. It's just for the records of that particular year. It's not updating anything. Now, is when there's a particular way to change your director or to add a trustee. Annual returns and change of particulars are two different processes, so don't mix it up together. Once I file annual returns, I'm fully compliant with CAC. Full compliance or includes other obligations, maintaining proper records, reporting any changes in your company structure. Yes, you still have PSC. Now, because you file annual returns does not mean that you've done all that you need to do with CAC. If you there are some obligations that require that you inform CAC after certain changes has been made. So CAC annual returns, yes, is annual as it implies, but there are still other things that you must be fully compliant with just in case you make changes. If there is a change in the shareholding of your company, the CAC needs to be notified through the through the person that's in control. You give the person, for example, anybody that has more than 5% of shares in your company, you need to notify CAC about it. So it's not like any changes you make, CAC has to be notified, right? So it's not. So annual returns is just one piece of a bigger picture. Another myth is that only lawyers can file annual returns. Any CAC accredited agent can handle this. If you have lawyers, chartered accountants, chartered secretaries, what matters is that they are accredited. So it's not only lawyers. Some people are chartered accountants and some are chartered secretaries. And any one of those can help you file. Then foreign companies operating in Nigeria are exempt. Absolutely no. If you are registered in Nigeria, even as a foreign company, I must add this: if you want to register as a foreign company in Nigeria that has foreign participation, your share capital is 100 million share capital. So if you are registered as a foreign company here, so foreign company can mean that the shareholder is a corporate shareholder and is a company from the USA, from Canada, that is a corporate shareholder in the Nigerian company. So they are not exempted to also, they have to file annual returns as well. So how do we stay compliant? Just know your entity type, your deadline, engage a CAC accredited agent, file every year, without exemptions. Try to also keep records of your annual turnover, net assets. If your status has now, there are situations where you are really up to date with your annual returns, right? And the CAC, you still see inactive on your status. It's important that you notify CAC immediately you see that. Or you could send a mail to activation@cac.gov.ng and you attach all your we do that for our clients, because ideally it's supposed to be automatic. As soon as all the years are up to date, they are meant to just make it inactive immediately, but there's sometimes maybe system error, so you need to send a mail to them and for them to and then if you're planning, you definitely know that one of these days I have to change my director, I have to update my address, I have to amend anything. Then it's important that you don't wait at the deadline. There are situations where there are situations that may require you to change your director for an urgent contract, for an investor to make a decision. You don't want it to be at that point where you have to first of all do annual returns and then now make a change in director, that will not be it. I think I've been able to. I want to give room for us as our questions we have. We've covered a lot of things today in the sense that businesses spend so much time and money on industry specific compliance, and that is good, very wonderful. But the very foundation, the thing that says your entity exists, that thing should not be left behind. So I think so we can close for today. Do you have a question, please? Thank you. Hello, you can hear me? Mr. Akintade, we can't hear you. All right. We'll just conclude. I just want to conclude to say that we hold webinar every week, as I said earlier, and ALOS NG will meet once a week. A secretaries also is keep alternating, but we'll be on your faces to talk about various things from compliance to legal mistakes to wills, any legal topic, and you can always ask us questions. So Mr. Akintade can ask his question on the, because we can't seem to hear him, on the legal desk. I could probably send the link to him and he can ask us a question. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.